Freddy Fazzbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person.
Welcome to Now Playing Podcast's Five Nights at Freddy's Movie Review.
Welcome to Freddy Fazzbear's Pizzeria, where fantasy and fun come to life.
Part of Now Playing's video game movie review series.
Let's introduce you to the stars of the show.
Hosted by Arnie.
Why do I always get the weirdos?
Justin.
Well, he's kind of a sentimental guy, I guess.
And Stuart.
Well, that good-looking guy I recognize. Who are all these other punks?
This episode will contain detailed plot spoilers and strong language.
Chica, I don't like this.
Listener discretion is advised.
I'd be quick, but thorough.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Are you ready to start the show? Are you ready to start the show? As we discuss Five Nights at Freddy's 2, starring Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lail, Piper Rubio, McKenna Grace, with Wayne Knight, with Skeet Ulrich, and Matthew Lillard, directed by Emma Tammy. 6-7, this is Arnie, co-host of Now Playing.
And Stuart.
And this is Justin.
And here we are 2 years later back in the arcade with everyone from the original production coming back. Normally that might be seen as a good thing, except I think we all hated the first movie, right?
It's funny that you say everybody came back. I had to ask my kids. I'm like, okay, it's been a while since I saw the first one. Is it the same little girl and is it the same actress playing Vanessa? Because I couldn't remember either of them from the first movie.
It is not all the same people, though. Seth Cuddleback, Chris Lee Hill, and Tyler McIntyre are not here. These are all writers who worked on the first film and have been jettisoned as Five Nights at Freddy's 2 franchise creator Scott Cawthorn has now taken control, jettisoned the dead weight of actual screenwriters, maybe? I don't know. Actually, none of them have wiki pages, so they're not that accomplished.
No, there were too many cooks in that kitchen. I am fine with getting rid of all the screenwriters from last time. Of course, you're not going to get rid of Cawthorn. He's the guy that invented the very first game and has been with it since inception. He's going to be buried with it. This is his baby.
Yeah, but Chris Roberts also created the Wing Commander franchise, which made great games, but Chris Roberts didn't make a good movie. Maybe game developers should make games and filmmakers should make films. I'm just saying. I think that's going to be something I'm going to be talking about tonight.
I hear your point, and yet the difference is Wing Commander made no money, and Five Nights at Freddy's, despite our protests, charmed the world into giving up record numbers. I mean, it was a huge hit.
We knew it when we recorded it. I did rewatch that first movie and go back and listen to our old review, and I remember we were all like, maybe they're going to learn from this and we won't see Emma Tammy again and they'll bring in new people because they know they have a hit franchise, but that doesn't necessarily mean they did the right thing in this movie.
Right, yeah. You don't ask Robert Wise back to make Star Trek 2.
Yeah, but no, I guess they don't mess with success. They're going to keep the winning team that took them to the end zone of profits with the first film and just keep them all around to do it again.
Yeah, I rewatched it as well, and it was funny. I remembered it being dull, but I forgot how incomprehensible it was. Like, I watched the movie, and then I went and listened to our review so that I could have myself and you guys explain to me what I just watched.
Was it any better the second time around?
No, it really is not a good movie. Thoroughly through and through, it is a movie that is not sure about what it's doing. And what I can say, what has me a little bit optimistic about it this time is, now that they know they have a built-in audience, and I'm sure they've gotten a lot of feedback from said fans of the games, and if there are any of the movies, now they can take risks and they can play to the strength. I just felt like they didn't know what movie they were making last time, and now they know exactly what the demographic is.
Yeah, I think that speaks a little bit to what you guys were just talking about with the creator of the game being more on board here, because I think he is so deep into the mythology of this game and the fan community of this game that now that he's more hands-on, I think it's going to come through in this new movie, where that original movie kind of felt like, there's some people who played the game, there's some people who really love the game, and somewhere in between they found a movie, but it didn't serve either or very well, that first outing.
Yeah, and again, I remember people in the audience. I was there at the very first screening, and the super fans were walking away saying, what a man movie. I can't believe I waited so long to have something so underwhelming. They know that they can do better this time, so it will be interesting to see how maybe they're given more rope to either hang themselves or to deliver a stronger sequel.
Well, the anticipation was there, I know. I actually was in Pittsburgh this past weekend for Steel City Comic-Con, so I couldn't go on Thursday night to see this movie. I was flying up there, but I was using Fandango. I don't know what theaters are near me up there. Just use Fandango, sort by distance. And every time I went to buy tickets, all that I saw staring at me was this clown face. It turned out it was the Marionette face. Apparently they paid Fandango so that sold out seats don't just look like they're marked off seats. It all looks like the Marionette face. At every page I went to, all I saw were Marionette faces except in like the front row. This thing was sold out in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, in IMAX screenings, in regular screenings. The Cinemark had screenings 10 minutes apart, and like they were all sold out. I eventually decided, all right, I can't get into any decent seat at the IMAX showings. I went to the non-IMAX showing on a Friday night. I got like the last aisle seat available in the theater. People were filling up the front two rows. There were cosplayers there. I thought I saw one, looked like it was one of those maybe $100 Halloween costumes. Not cheap looking, but certainly wasn't great cosplay. It was a mask and looked like a pajama suit for Freddy Fazzbear. But then coming into the movie during the trailers were these 4, I don't know how to describe it. It involved face paint and headbands with ears and accoutrement on them, and it looked like the 4 from the 1939 Wizard of Oz had children with the 4 main Freddy's animatronics, and the outcome was this weird human face paint robotic amalgam of art. I mean, it didn't look bad, but it wasn't screen realistic. It was just unique and brave. I applaud their bravery for going out in public with that.
But most theaters aren't going to allow you to wear a mask, so you have to incorporate your actual body into what should just be animatronic suits. And so I had less people trying to be Fazzbear characters and more just trying to do the 80s. They were just like kids with mohawks and fingerless leather gloves and just styles, neon outfits to just kind of celebrate the era. I will say this, I haven't been in a theater this packed in quite some time. It was both showings, I went twice. First night, it was one parent for every 10 children under 15. And then I just went and saw it again, and it was much more mixed crowd, but still a lot of teenagers. And in both cases, they knew this property. It was interactive like Rocky Horror Picture Show. People talking to the screen, people anticipating things, shouting things about games in between scenes. It was a riot.
Oh yeah, I had that entirely too. You mentioned the ages. I think, the absolute oldest person in the theater. By going at an 8 o'clock showing, there was nobody teenager under. Everybody in there was somewhere in their early or late 20s, and then me sitting there in a corner.
Yeah, well, I think this game appeals to much of the younger generation. I'll tell you, this is the first movie in forever that my daughter asked me to take her to. She doesn't generally like going to movies. She's 20. She's in that age where they watch movies on their phones, in their rooms, maybe with some friends online. They don't like to go to the theater. And when she asked me over Thanksgiving if we could go to this, I'm like, well, I have to go anyway, so sure. Like I said, she's 20. My son Tyler's 30. He wanted to go too. And both of them are big fans of the game. So we go to the Friday night show show at 5:30 to a packed theater. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess this thing is a thing. Because I haven't really thought about it since the last time we went to the theater for this movie. And yeah, there were some cosplayers, there were some people dressed up, and we had a pretty well-behaved crowd. There wasn't a lot of shouting at the screen or anything like that, but there was a lot of laughing at jokes that made me feel like the old man on the outside, not understanding what was going on.
In my second showing, I had a kid narrating, explaining the jokes. I was like, oh, how helpful to have you right next to me to tell me why people are laughing.
Yeah, hence why I started the show with 6-7. You want to talk about cultural shit Arnie doesn't understand? Here we go. I mean, this is nonsense to me. I couldn't believe the uproarious positivity of my entire audience. Bouts of applause during the movie, hoots, hollers, screaming at the screen. Only a few people actually stayed till the end, even though like the first words of this movie are, don't forget to stay till the very end for a surprise. Everybody left except for like me and a group of 5, and that group of 5 going out were just like, this is the best movie ever. I'm like, okay, sorry, Lawrence of Arabia, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is here now.
Yeah, to be debated about best movie ever, but there's no denying it. If I had the thought that the first movie was kind of lukewarm and that fans wouldn't show up again, be tricked a second time, how wrong I was. They were there, they were enthusiastic. You say the 80s are back? How 80s is this? There was a fast food tie-in. Did you guys know this? You'd think someplace that serves pizza, right? Popeyes got into this act. I had to laugh. I Googled this. I'm like, how did Popeyes wind up with a pizza chain tie-in? Here's the quote from their head chef. Freddy Fazzbear Pizzeria is an iconic part of the film, so we had a blast reimagining that fun, over-the-top energy through our menu. It's our way of giving fans a delicious taste of the movie's universe, where the iconic Popeyes flavor meets a little bit of nostalgic pizzeria mystery.
What?
Exactly. No, I'll tell you what it is. You pay $15 to have them stick 3 chicken strips into a box with the worst cupcake, and I am not exaggerating, the worst cupcake I've ever eaten in my life. It couldn't even be extracted from the container. It was like a Hostess cupcake that got stuck. It didn't rise. Like you had an unrisen cupcake with this, it looked like gack. Melted lip wax for icing. It was so gross, but that's how they're trying to capture it. I don't know why you couldn't have gone with like a pizza chicken, or maybe that would have been an unholy thing. I figured you would have tried.
No, chicken pizza is a thing, though. Pizza Hut has like chicken pizza. I hate it because the chicken's always dry and you choke, but I mean, you could have done a chicken pizza. They are just the wrong chain, though. They are the wrong chain to tie into a pizza place. I don't know why Domino's and Pizza Hut or even Papa John's got outbid.
I guess they have Chica, and Chica had a cupcake, so they try to do something there.
Well, then get to Magnolia's, not Popeyes.
Yeah. I gotta say, Popeyes is definitely not my favorite fast food chicken. It was pretty dreadful all around. They also threw some rubbery cheese curds in there as well with marinara sauce, so maybe that was kind of like a pizza flavoring. At any rate, nice attempt, guys, but no. I've got to say, I miss my collector's glass or action figure toys from the 80s. You got to do something more fun like that and not just serve bad food.
Well, there were a lot of toys out. I actually went to a Target during this holiday season, and there was an entire Five Nights at Freddy's 2 end cap with toys and books and music and the first movie on Blu-ray and just huge store display celebrating all things Five Nights at Freddy's. That said, while it did bring out the audiences, we got the estimates in for the weekend. It opened big, but less than the first movie. It's opening at 63 domestic. The first one did 80 domestic. Don't pity this film. This thing has now already in one weekend made $110 million global against a $35 to $50 million budget. This thing's already in the black, but not as black as the first one.
Yeah, we're getting a part 3, but yeah, I don't feel like they've expanded the audience, but maybe they've pleased more of the audience, to be determined.
I did come in, though, rooting for this movie against all odds. And you know why? Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino has been on a rant lately talking about how Paul Dano sucks as an actor, and he also doesn't like Owen Wilson, and just like sideswipe along the way, I don't care for Matthew Lillard by Quentin Tarantino. And poor Matthew Lillard was at a con this weekend, not the con I was at, but at a con this weekend, and during his panel was asked about Tarantino's comment, and he tried to be blithe. He started by going, who gives a shit? And then he paused and goes, it hurts your feelings. It fucking sucks. You wouldn't say that to Tom Cruise. You wouldn't say that to someone who's a top line actor in Hollywood. I'm popular in this room. I'm not very popular in Hollywood. And it's humbling and it hurts. And I'm like, oh, Matthew, I've liked you since Hackers. I feel bad for you now.
I think he gets enough praise. I don't love Matthew Lillard, but he does his thing, and people that watch movies in the 90s enjoy it. And he just kind of exists in that decade, right? He's a relic left behind that is suddenly having a resurgence. I guess he'll be in the new Scream movie as well. So,
hey, spoilers.
They've announced that one heavy.
I know.
If I know about it, it's out there.
I do feel like he's getting a ton of work, and it's not just the 90s. Again, the younger generation loves him as Shaggy. He does Shaggy voices for all the cartoons. I mean, he says he's not A-list, but he's certainly highly employed.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's find out what Matthew Lillard does in this movie and all the other characters returning. Arnie, why don't you give him a plot?
Yeah, I don't know if Matthew Lillard was too busy shooting Scream, but he doesn't do a lot in this movie. He is in the opening, though, in 1982 at the original Freddy Fazzbear's Pizza. This isn't the one from the first movie. It's the original first location, and this place has everything. Arcade machines no one wants to play, soda that tastes like diesel, a ball pit full of tears, and a prize corner where the prizes look like they were bought in bulk from a failing carnival. And don't forget the main stage where every animatronic is fully mobile, which is code for will follow you around when you don't want it to.
Oh, but come on, they have a boat. They have a river. That would have been awesome. Take that, Chuck E. Cheese.
But the real star is the Marionette. Picture a tall, spooky orchestra conductor who lives in a hole in the middle of the stage and rises up like he's about to announce the nominees for Best Picture. It's dramatic, it's unsettling, it's giving Broadway diva trapped in a music box. Critics said things like, what a marvel, and please stop making eye contact with me, Toy Bonnie. So if you want animatronics, tunnels, newspaper clippings, and a murder mystery that no one in authority bothered to solve, Freddy Fazzbear's Pizza is the only place in town.
I'll go. Sure, why not?
Can't be worse than Popeyes.
Right, seriously. You're more chance to die there.
I'd rather die in the Marionette's arms than choking to death on a chicken bone.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But as for that murder mystery, little Charlotte Emily was there in 1982 for her friend Vanessa's birthday. Charlotte's the kid no one pays attention to, so she gravitates towards that Marionette. Then she sees Vanessa's father, William Afton, played by Matthew Lillard, abduct a boy. Charlotte tries to get help. No one listens, so she follows them herself. She manages to save the boy, but William stabs her in the back. She makes it to the stage, screams, collapses over the trapdoor, and then the Marionette rises holding her dead body. Cut to 2022, and Vanessa is an adult, played by Elizabeth Lail, healed from the wounds she got in the last movie, but still carrying the emotional damage from growing up with a serial killer for her father. She's trying to build something normal with Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson, who's doing his best to raise his 11-year-old sister Abby, played by Piper Rubio, and give her a stable home. The town has gotten weirdly nostalgic for Freddy's thanks to Abby's aunt spreading the old horror stories, and this weekend is Fazzfest. Abby misses the animatronics she thought were her friends, but when she sneaks back to Freddy's, she finds them wrecked and empty. Mike gives her a Fazz Talker toy, kind of like a spooky speaking spell, to cheer her up. Then he notices a flyer on the building that says, Freddy's is murder, with a number to call. Then we cut and meet with a group of ghost hunters contacted by Mike, the security guard at Freddy's. Only it's not Mike Schmidt, the character we followed, it's Michael Afton, William's son, played by Freddie Carter. He takes these three ghost hunters, one of whom is McKenna Grace playing Lisa, to the original 1982's Freddy's and springs a trap. They release the Marionette, now driven by Charlotte's vengeful spirit. The 3 hunters are killed, and the Marionette starts controlling a set of toy animatronics. So the Marionette uses Abby's Fazz Talker to speak as Toy Chica and bring Abby to the old restaurant. Toy Chica helps Abby with her science fair project, but her robotics teacher, Mean Mr. Berg, played by Wayne Knight, smashes the project on purpose to keep Abby out of the fair. Mike follows the flyer and meets Henry Emily, Charlotte's father, played by Skeet Ulrich. Henry tells Mike the truth about Afton and gives him a music box that he built to soothe Charlotte when she was little. Mike, Vanessa, and Abby all independently end up back at the old Freddy's. Vanessa finds Charlotte's spirit, which now targets neglectful parents, and Vanessa is taken hostage. Abby returns, looking for emotional support from Toy Chica, who says she'll act as Abby's science project, but she can't leave the building unless Abby enters a security code. The Marionette threatens to harm Abby to get Vanessa to give up the code. Abby enters it in the computer, and the animatronics are released to cause terror in town. Chica goes to the school with Abby and kills Mr. Berg. Mike rescues Vanessa and heads for the control room, trying to turn the animatronics restraints back on. The Marionette senses Mike's interference and activates a group of prototype animatronics to stop him, but he's able to fool most of them and stay safe by putting up a giant animatronic Freddy mask in front of his face. Vanessa goes to save Abby, but gets attacked by a broken toy Foxy. Mike gets the shutdown done, but one bot doesn't respond. Toy Chica, who's at his house. Toy Chica has put Abby to bed and then splits open, and the Marionette emerges, who possesses Abby. Mike goes to the Freddy Fazzbear's where he used to work, asking the ghosts of the killed children for help, then goes home where Abby is attacking Vanessa. Mike plays Henry's music box, which puts the Marionette to sleep, and it leaves Abby's body. Then Michael Afton arrives, reveals he's Vanessa's brother, and orders the toy animatronics to kill them. Then the original animatronics arrive and destroy the toy versions. The ghost leader, Jeremiah, tells Abby that leaving Freddy's meant their spirits have to move on to heaven, but it also freed William Afton's corpse locked in that yellow bunny suit to again act on its own. Mike, furious that Vanessa kept all of this from him, tells her to stay away, and Charlotte then jumps into Vanessa's body as credits roll to a mid-credits scene where random thieves break into Freddy's because animatronics are a thing again, and they find the yellow bunny suit with Afton's corpse inside, and its eyes light up. Then at the very end credits, Henry leaves Mike a voicemail, revealing the big twist that Henry used to be William Afton's business partner and saying the Marionette is still active, but something, probably the Marionette, attacks him before he can finish, and the movie finally ends.
And as we get started, you're right. They do a lot of fourth wall breaking here. We have Lillard hyping both the audience of his restaurant and the crowds in the theater that were back on. And as we get to see all the opening credits and the tags for Blumhouse and Universal, yeah, you can feel the energy in the room. Again, I haven't been in a theater this crowded before, but it was kind of exciting. It was like I was about to see wrestling or something. It didn't even feel like I was in a movie theater.
I appreciated it because, I mean, we're getting a countdown and, you know, by the time it hits 1, we're done with production logos and we're going to get into this movie.
Normally, like, if you were watching, I don't know, Oppenheimer or something, that's a prestige film, that would feel wrong, violating. But in this movie, yeah, it feels like we're at the carnival. We're back in 1982, and we're at a Fazzbear restaurant that we haven't quite seen before. And yeah, it's a small world after all kind of ride with boats, and there's a ball pit that's a pirate ship, and it looks tweaked just a little bit. We're seeing a new restaurant than what was in the last film, and one that looks more fun, frankly.
Yeah, and I can't remember if they did it last time, and Stuart, you watched the first movie recently. Did they establish the year before? Did we know we were starting in the 80s and moving up to 2002 as present day?
No, they had to do a lot of math. They dropped clues, and you could basically do some addition and subtraction and realize it was 1987 and the year 2000. This one's going to be split between 1982 and 2002. And we're meeting a new character. There is a dark-haired girl with pigtails sitting alone, clearly kind of hating the entire experience, not wanting to participate in the birthday parties and the arcade games and any of this merriment. She's just waiting for her surrogate parent, the Marionette, to pop out of the trapdoor.
What is her problem, Charlotte, here? Vanessa's gonna say to her, oh, you got a bad roll of the dice. What bad roll of the dice did we get? Jumping to the very end credits, we find out Charlotte's dad used to be co-owner of Freddy's and is no longer co-owner of Freddy's. But why does this mean the kids don't like Charlotte? Or do they like Charlotte and Charlotte's just emotionally damaged? Because when Vanessa is there, she's like, come back, have cake with us. And then we see Charlotte does go have cake and all the kids are fine. Nobody's picking on her. Charlotte looks like she has some kind of disorder, depression or something because she's not happy to be there. But all we see is Vanessa being so nice to Charlotte and saying Charlotte got a raw deal in something. I would have liked to have seen what made Charlotte an outcast.
Well, you know she's depressed because she's the only kid in the 80s wearing black and white clothes, you know? I mean, everybody else wears bright clothes. But Arnie, you're scratching on exactly my problem with this movie, which is going to be, if you're not seeped in the lore of this game, this movie is not going to help you out with developing any of these characters for the people who are just sitting in the theater trying to watch a movie. We have no idea about Charlotte outside of what Vanessa is telling us. But like you said, yeah, give us some of this backstory. You've got an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours to tell us a story, and you're going to waste time later on. So build something up here at the beginning, something for us to sink our teeth into.
Or is this a mystery that will unfold over 4 or 5 more films? I don't know. You know, I don't want it to. I'll agree with you on that. I would have appreciated maybe a little bit more, but you get the point. She's a gloomy Gus. She's a Wednesday Addams. She is calling the Marionette the only one she can rely on. And I take that to mean that her dad is too busy building these animatronics to spend any time with her. We won't know that, as you say, until the end. But yes, he is co-creator and co-owner of this restaurant, and she just has to be here and be neglected because this is where dad lives.
There was also something said here that makes no sense to me and I thought was going to be a clue to something, and it never pays off. Of course, I could say that about a lot of things in this movie, but the first one is Vanessa comes to cheer up Charlotte, have a Freddy Fazz cola, and she takes a drink and says it tastes like gasoline. And I'm like, is Vanessa trying to poison her? Does the soda just suck at Freddy Fazzbear's? Everybody looks like it's a good place. You know, everybody acts like they're having a great time. You wouldn't do that with gasoline cola.
Take it from the person that used to work at Chuck E. Cheese, Showbiz Pizzeria. Yeah, the food's terrible. So yeah, I just thought this was getting more of the satirical element than we got last time. Yeah, this is a crummy pizzeria and people are only here for the gimmick.
If you say something tastes like gasoline, that's a huge tell to me, like maybe she's being poisoned.
Wow, my mind never went there. I can honestly say I just thought they were making a joke about how food and drink is an afterthought here at this restaurant. You're here for the animatronics, and the animatronics are here for you, as she's going to find out Yellow Bunny is snatching a kid away while everyone else is partying.
I love that she tries to get an adult to help, and my favorite was the woman. I'm sorry, adults are talking.
Yeah, a bunch of bad parents going on, but I guess it was the 80s, right? The only thing they weren't doing is smoking in that room with all the kids around.
I thought that needed that, quite frankly, but we don't do that in PG-13 movies.
But I gotta ask, this is a new location for us, the moviegoers, and the front of the house looks nice. You know, we've talked about all the cool little things kids are into. It's bright and fresh. Why is the back rooms of this place been just creepy and dark and damp ever since the beginning? Like, that didn't make any sense to me. I know they're trying to creep us out because Charlotte's about to go back there and find out what's going on, and it needs to look a little scary, but in the universe, that doesn't make sense. This is a new place. Everything should be somewhat brightly colored and at least clean, maybe white walls, not gray dripping.
Again, as someone that has worked in these restaurants, you might be surprised at how unsanitary they are and unpleasant.
I know this movie isn't going for our generation. Screw Gen X. You guys are getting near retirement. You're not spending the disposable income the way the millennials and the zennials are. But come on, this is a 1982 arcade. Throw some asteroids in there. Throw in some arcade games that were real. Don't just have all these fake name games. Give me something to tingle my nostalgia bone for this era, and it didn't do that.
I agree with you, but I will give them some props for that. Those games, I came to find out, are actually fan-made games surrounding Five Nights at Freddy's. So it's actually kind of a nice little throw out to longtime fans who have put some love into their fandom.
Things that you might be experiencing as random, I'm betting are very not for those that are steeped in deep Freddy lore. Because I can tell you, again, so many kids were almost with every comment shouting back, saying things, making requests. It was strange, but I knew that they were having an experience that I could not have because they knew things about the game I would never know. Like, why is the Toreador song being used so much? We had it at the beginning as a music box, and here we have Matthew Lillard singing it as he's doing something at the sink. While the kid's lying on the ground, you would think that he's already stabbed his victim. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I do know this song, and I don't know why a operetta Carmen ditty is here in this arcade.
Well, it was the music that played when you died in that first game that I played. So it's not unique to this telling. It's a callback to the game, but it's also something that Freddy was playing whenever you'd find him in the kitchen in the game. So, I mean, it's royalty-free public license music that, remember, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was an indie game that had no money.
Yeah, are we talking about the...
Da na 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 na.
Yeah, the Bad News Bears music.
Oh, Bad News Bears. How funny. You're right. It had already been repurposed in the 70s. Okay. At any rate, Charlotte is going to try and rescue this kid from whatever has happened to him, scoops him up in her arms, and is trying to get to the exit. By the time she's stumbling on stage, she has 3 knife wounds on her back, and nobody is paying any attention as she dies.
I liked this scene quite a bit. I first thought that the boy was dead. I mean, you just see his feet lying on the ground, and William Afton is doing dishes, or he's at the sink. I assume washing blood off his hands or something, and he's taken his mask off. But then he puts the mask back on and is kind of stalking Charlotte as she's going to the door. It's really a slow chase as she's trying to carry this body and he's behind her with a knife. And then, of course, it just cuts to black because we're in a PG-13 movie. The fact that we even get to see 3 bloody stab wounds on her back, I was shocked because this is a movie for kids that uses kids' gloves, but you're not going to see any steel hit flesh, but it is told very clearly what happened.
Yeah, this is actually a really creepy scene. We got nothing like it in the first movie. The first movie was far, far from being a slasher. And here we're actually going to get kills. And the first kill is a 10-year-old girl is pretty shocking.
It also makes me start to question what is going on with William Afton. Is he a maniacal killer? Does he have a plan at all? Like, he's just going to steal kids from his own restaurant? Like, when the parents go to report that, they're just going to look at this restaurant. And he stabs a girl right in his own restaurant. Like, he's prime suspect number 1. I mean, I get the whole thing is supposed to be creepy, but I don't understand why making this bad guy the owner of this place, stealing children in broad daylight, is creepy. To me, that just seems dumb.
Can it be both? I mean, I think it is dumb and I think it is creepy. I mean, I think if you have the mentality of the primary audience member, which again is under 13, all you're experiencing is, creepy yellow rabbit grabbing one of your classmates and dragging him away, and that's shocking. Yeah, when you're an adult and you ask these questions about, is this the best way to abduct children? Well, no, eventually he does move on to parks and stuff. Like, that's how he got Garrett.
It is still a question as to how many kids he killed. I think that Charlotte might actually be the first. I don't know what he was doing with that boy he abducted, but this is at the first location, and it wasn't until the franchise locations that they had the other kids go missing where he was hiding them inside of animatronics. So here, it's murder number 1.
I think it's wise to not put too much in that if you want the audience to have a good time. If this is a popcorn movie, we don't want to be thinking about the profile of a serial abductor, murderer, and God knows what else he does to the kids. That becomes far too gross, too inflammatory to be supported by this lightweight kiddie show.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, with them over 2 movies now tying so much to his legacy, his kids, and what they're doing and what they're going to become. I feel like there needs to be something there. I at least want some motivation for what William Afton is doing.
I don't necessarily need motivation. His name is Freddy, and he's a child killer. There's a certain Freddy Krueger that I don't know his motivation for being a psychopath either.
Why, you do too. The town went after him. He's getting revenge.
He's getting revenge for them getting revenge for him killing their children.
We never quite know how he got started, and I still feel like that movie is probably going to get made one day, but I don't want that movie. Can I just say I don't want to see Afton telling us what he does with the kids? That doesn't pique my interest.
Oh, no. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking a little bit more for motivation. Is he just crazy? Does he have some ultimate plan?
I'll say this much. These movies are following the games a lot, but these games really got fleshed out starting with part 3. And William Afton wasn't even a character who had a name. You found out this backstory that this 8-bit purple guy, that's just what he was known as, was the purple guy, was killing these kids and putting them in these animatronics. In part 3, William Afton, a dead William Afton, is the actual nemesis. So I think we're going to get a lot more Lillard and maybe a lot more explanation in part 3. But because the games didn't give it until then, here's the thing. You don't need character backstory for a game if the game is fun to play. The first game had almost no story to it. You were sitting in an office trying to click buttons so that crazy animatronics didn't come in the door, and you had to close the door, and for some reason, doors took power in this game. None of it makes sense. None of it is smart, but it was viral. But then as the games went on, they added story. They added characters. They added sons and daughters and murders and more animatronics so they could sell more Funko Pops of them, you know?
That's fine for a video game, but we're reviewing the second movie here and we have these questions.
That's what I'm saying is by having the game creator be like, well, it was good enough for the second game, it's good enough for the second movie. No, I think you need to not just rely on the lame storytelling you did in the game, because here it's the story that makes the fun. I'm not clicking anything. I'm not having the jump scares as I try to sit in the office.
Speaking of games, we get the credits, and they do the whole thing with the 8-bit video characters, as well as some news clippings that basically underline the fact that this girl is dead, and the Marionette is retired. I guess it's too closely associated. She ends up flopping down into its arms, so I guess they figure when they decide to try again, we'll just leave out the character that's so closely associated with a child death and start again.
I love that the headline actually says, girl blamed for accident entered restricted area. So she entered a restricted area and came out with 3 stab wounds on her back and then got lifted into the air by an animatronic. I mean, okay, it's the 80s, shrug?
Yeah, not a lot of detective work going on there, but like we could get hung up on all of these things and we're still in the flashback of this movie. So just in the sake of keeping it moving, I just wanted to express some major overall issues that I had with this, and we can kind of breeze past them as we go. But yeah, Charlotte being killed here and them moving on from this location and giving us some newspaper clippings to explain it, I'm fine with that. We don't need dire explanations and everything going into super duper detail to get us into present day.
But it's really important that we understand that there are 2 Freddys, original Freddy and franchise Freddy, because there's going to be 3 different sets of characters. It's a lot to keep up with. This movie's going to be juggling a lot of subplots, and again, 2 viewings helped because there's a lot of messiness in the unfolding.
Abby is able to ride her bike to both locations independently, so they're not terribly far apart.
Correct. And let's get to the new characters. We're going to jump 20 years, and that does mean 2002. It's been 2 years since that last movie, so they're keeping it in check there. It feels like some of these characters should have been in a different place. Vanessa should have gone back to her job by now, I would think. I don't know what job being a cop gives you 2 years leave.
Disability.
Okay. She can't work at all.
If she had a mental breakdown from being stabbed on the job, I'm sure there's a hefty disability check that a union cop could be getting.
Fair, sure. Not to mention, if it ever came out that she collaborated with the serial killer, they might not want to hire her for the police force. But hey, these are not good cops. We can all agree the cops are not doing their job investigating these murders.
Never mind Vanessa, what about Mike? His whole thing the last movie was he needs a job, right? He has to have a job. He's got to be able to take care of his sister. Here we meet him. He's got a new house, and he's got all day long to just stick around and paint while Abby's off to school.
Yeah, he still doesn't have a job, but he's bought a new house. I don't know with what money. Again, did the insurance company that owned the Freddy's location just give him a big payout for what he went through in the first film? I don't know. His friend Jeremiah is still hanging around, and that seems to be his only friend outside of Vanessa. But I would like to know what Mike is doing that he could take Vanessa out on a date to what looks like a really posh Italian restaurant.
You know, Josh Hutcherson didn't look like he was having a lot of fun in the last movie, and in this one, they kind of write it into the character. He's exasperated. He's trying to fix everything. He's told Abby a lie about how she can't go visit her friends at the pizzeria because they're broken, but he'll fix it, and he wants to fix it all, and of course, he can't get anything done. And it's so weird. On this date, he ends up telling Vanessa that she should try the dream technique that didn't work for him. You know, she's like, oh, you're having nightmares? Well, remember how I slept all the time to find out who killed Garrett? I never found out who killed Garrett, but maybe you can do the same thing and confront your dad.
Meanwhile, she's saying she's going to spin class, so she's obviously physically able to be a cop, but she says she's making friends at the class, and I'm like, okay, this is going to matter. Either she's having a love triangle situation, maybe the friends she's making at class are also romantic interests because she and Mike haven't even kissed yet, or maybe there's a nefarious person at spin class. I tend to think those nefarious people are probably the instructors, but maybe there's a killer animatronic in spin class. So I thought this would matter, and yet, no.
Well, we have one scene. I mean, we do go to the spin class, and she does see dear old dad in the bunny suit in the mirror reflection and pulls a gun on a guy that she said hello to. So that's her friend.
But I didn't need a line saying she made a friend. You know, you could have just said she was in spin class. I feel like the screenwriting is dropping clues to things that aren't actually ever going to pay off. The gasoline soda, the friend in spin class, these are things that either shouldn't be said the way they are or should matter.
But Arnie, again, you're saying conclusively they have no point. I'm telling you, weird lines are dropped, and the kid next to me is going, oh, I didn't think they'd make that reference. So can we be sure that's not a line said in a game somewhere? It is that deep, and the kids are enjoying it on that level. They're screaming out, oh, you got this from the ball game. You know, like they know where these lines are coming from.
They do know, but I'll say that this did not have any reaction from my audience. My audience was fairly muted for the first half hour of the film.
Neither time did I watch this was there a scene that went without comment.
Well, let's just say it. I mean, the whole Vanessa-Mike relationship is just weird and strained. And I don't know if it's writing or if it's acting or if it's meant to be this way, but I'm not feeling anything between these two. I feel like Mike is cajoling her to get better so he can get her in bed or something because he seems to be frustrated about something. But this is a kid's movie, so that's not his motivation. And he's acting like he wants to help her, but he really doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, they got no romantic chemistry together. And this joke about are we on a date or are we not on a date? It's not a romantic date. I'll just say that. They have no chemistry together, and that doesn't change. If anything, this is about the ending of their friendship. He will realize not to trust her because she is holding on to a lot of information and not telling him vital things.
I don't think he realizes it at this point. I think at the end of this date, he still thinks that there's something that can happen between them, and he'll say it outright later. He's trying to fix her. And there are those people who just keep getting in relationships with broken people. Oh, I can fix them.
I mean, you could just lump it into codependency, but yeah, this is the way his character will read in this movie. He's trying to fix up a house. He's trying to fix up a girlfriend. He's trying to fix Abby, who doesn't seem to really be struggling for friends, even though she says, oh, I miss my ghost friends that were in animatronics that tried to kill me. She is going to her new school and people want to hear those stories. They invite her to lunch. She's got a science lab partner that is all ears. I don't get the sense that she's alone because nobody accepts her.
No, it's a joke that got a big reaction from my audience when Mike tells Jeremiah, oh, she doesn't like to be thought of as the niece of the woman talking about the animatronics. Smash cut to her on the bus telling the other kids about the climax of the first movie, and the kids are eating it up like, you're crazy, you want to sit with us at lunch? So she's popular because of these Freddy tales, because Freddy's is popular. All the kids are going to FazFest this Saturday. Everybody is really into the retro Freddy's thing because of Abby's aunt and the story she told, and it's kind of a spooky kitsch thing.
And let's underline that. Mary Stuart Masterson, who we thought was killed in the last film, survived to tell everyone I was attacked by a giant teddy bear. And that is why everyone is now in love with Freddy Fazzbear and throwing a Faz Fest. Her crazy stories have ignited interest in an old abandoned restaurant. You'd think they just reopened the restaurant, but they're going to have some kind of downtown carnival in honor of this creepy establishment. But she got sent to the loony bin. Her stories, I guess, were too crazy, and she's written out of this series. She is now in an insane asylum, will not participate in the movie.
Yeah, and I get what they're trying to do here, but like, to me, this Faz Fest needs to be earned a little bit, because it feels like they're taking a page out of Scream. Because in the Scream franchise, there's a book that was written, and there's movies that are now being made, and that's kind of where the fandom comes from this. All of this happened less than a year ago, and they've organized a fest around this. Like, it just didn't feel very organic, but I get what they're trying to do. They're making the lore of the game and the movie exist within this movie, so everybody inside the movie feels like a fan, just like you sitting in the audience.
And I think you got the reference exactly right. This is Scream for preteens. These are Screams for 13 and under that didn't see all those 80s slasher movies, but played all these video games.
Abby is popular with her friends at school, which seems weird because that's not what the movie's trying to tell us. There is one person at school that doesn't seem to like her at all, and that's Mr. Berg. Wayne Knight's character seems to just not like her for whatever reason. We don't ever understand why he doesn't want to be part of the science fair. We're not shown that she's not good at doing science projects. He just does not want her involved.
It is so strange. She is targeted by this teacher for no reason. I don't take it that it's sexist. It could come off as sexist because she's a girl, but there's other girls in that class, and he's not discouraging all the girls. He's discouraging specifically Abby. And it's not because Abby talks about Freddy Fazzbear, because everybody in class is talking about it, and he does say everyone's caught up in the stupidity that is Freddy Fest, so why pick on just Abby other than poor writing?
No, I think there is a very concrete reason. She is making a Chica. Her project is a recreation of her friend, and he is on record saying, I know FazFest is playing against the science fair, and if you go to that and don't come to the science fair, I'm going to give you an F. And he's a robotics teacher. He thinks that those animatronics are terrible and that his science is preferable. It's kind of like when I said I want to do a book report on Stephen King, and my English teacher only read Jane Austen. She just doesn't want me to do it, and she's ready to flunk me.
I had that teacher too, but I was in a different state than you. I see that if he had acknowledged in any way he knew what a Chica was, or that he knew that what Abby was building was a Chica or something, then I would go with that. But he's not trying to steer her away from just animatronics. He's just like, robotics aren't for everyone, and we're defending the school championship like she's the weak link.
It isn't working. I mean, it should be said, she's sitting there and arms are falling off, and the thing isn't working, and the science fair is 5 days away or less. So he has a right to be concerned.
Agreed. But then she must be doing something right, because the boy next to her, Daniel, says, why don't you try fixing the animatronics yourself? Because apparently Mike has been saying for 2 years he'll go fix these animatronics for her and hasn't. So she must be doing something right that this kid thinks she can go fix them.
I'm not sure how many light bulbs are in his machinery, but yeah, he believes in her. He believes in UFOs and ghosts and all her crazy stories. And yes, he puts the idea in her head when she brings it up with Dad when she gets home that, hey, why can't I go see my friends? And they have what must be a conversation they have every week about, no, they're still broken. One day I'll fix them, but go make real friends. This is going to be her taking initiative. She's supposed to stay home and watch TV, and instead she's going to bike over to the old restaurant restaurant and see if she can fix him up.
Who didn't see this coming? When Mike's going out to dinner and she's like, I want to go see my old friends. He's like, no, watch Spectral Scoopers on TV. Of course she's going to sneak out and go to Freddy's. This is the most obvious thing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone doesn't see that coming, but funny 2002 reference. I do believe that those ghost hunting shows did become popular around that time. So it's feeling, period.
Movie questions that I don't think we're supposed to ask is, there was just a big incident at this place just less than a year ago. Why is this place not locked down? Why is it still accessible?
I do think it's been 2 years, but I can't answer that. This is a movie aimed for the kids, not for the adults. So lots of logistical questions aren't going to be asked. But I did actually like her comment. I mean, he was like, I want you to be friends with real kids. And she says, my friends are real kids. It does remind you, because that's a detail that I don't think was very well dramatized in the last movie, but is super important to the difference between the good animatronics and the bad animatronics in this movie. They're all piloted by ghosts of dead children. And so she's not wanting to be friends with robots. She's wanting to be friends with other abused, neglected children. But we will see a ghost kid pop out at the end. So again, it's important to have that in your mind, that there are certain animatronics that have ghosts in it. And although we don't have the scene of her trying to fix them, by the time Dad gets there, she's concluded that the souls are gone and that she really can't even find the characters. They're not on stage anymore. And we have no idea where those characters are.
They're in heaven, right? That's what Mike is going to come and say. Acknowledgement of the reality of Christian mythology in the Five Nights at Freddy's world, because later the ghost kids are going to say we're going to heaven. So I guess Christianity, yay, all the rest of you wrong.
I mean, that's a little much. I don't think this is a Christian film. I think that he is saying what he thinks will comfort her, and she calls it really cheesy. And she's just not satisfied until Dad says, well, you can take home a souvenir. And he goes, pretend she has 1 million tickets, get anything you want. There never was anything good in those things. I remember I got like a 45-inch vinyl of Beach Bear singing Do You Love Me? And that was shit. You needed like 1 million tickets to get the stuffed animal that sang the song.
Oh my God, that got such a laugh out of the entire audience in my theater. And I was just like looking around like, what did I miss? That one had to be explained to me. There's a video that went viral of a guy walking somewhere and he found a garbage can, one of those like theme park garbage cans. It's shaped like a bear. And he did that. And that went viral. And that's what everybody in the theater was laughing about. And it's just like, this is so many layers of lore that I've not even dipped my toe into. I'm feeling very old right now.
And I know you guys are saying a skilled screenwriter could tell a story, but is this audience wanting a story, or is it wanting to connect all the pieces and kind of be nostalgic for something that's barely a decade old?
And a decade is a long time from when you're 6 to when you're 16, I will say. Having gone through some of that of remember when I was a kid and I liked type stuff.
The important thing is she gets a creepy speak and spell. They call it a Fazz talker. And I think this is a pretty good device. Maybe not utilized to its full effect, but that voice is creepy. The A, B, C, D. Yeah, it was a really rudimentary talking toy. And to bring it back as a way that the new characters, or rather the characters from the original restaurant, the Marionette, is going to hook Abby, I think was a smart choice.
It wasn't. This was the tease from the end of the last movie. Fortunately, I watched that at home because it went straight to streaming that same weekend. Because I watched this movie again and I didn't turn subtitles on and I'm like, what the hell is this spelling at the end? I even listened twice, but it said, come find us is what it was spelling at the end of the last one, telling us an evil speak and spell would be part of this new one.
Yeah, there was a plan for this. This was always a factor for part 2. And this is also where Mike, on the outside of the restaurant, finds among the FazFest flyers, someone has also stapled up Freddy's murder and has a phone number listed that you cannot call. It doesn't have an area code. It's 555, which movies always use.
Yeah, no phone number actually starts with 555 except in movies and TV. They should have made it a real phone number, although that would have locked it down to a city, right? But I would have liked it if they made it a real phone number and you could call and you get Skeet Ulrich, doing you've reached Howard, leave me a message. We'll talk about Freddy's.
You know how many awful phone bills I ran up calling like the random 900 numbers from the 80s? Like, yeah, oh my God. Yeah, yes, kids will definitely do this, but it's probably best that they didn't, at least for the parents' sake.
Well, I'm not saying a 900 number. I mean, they did this for John Wick where you could text it and it was free. Lionsgate's been doing this quite a bit for free. I'm just saying interactive movie stuff. Get Skeet Ulrich to literally phone in a voicemail memo and make people think like they're calling into this world.
Yeah, if they had had enough time or forethought. The interplay is a very interactive experience that I'm having with these crowded movie theaters. Finally, though, we get to the inciting incident, the thing that's really going to kick things off. The spectral scoopers, the thing that Abby was watching, ignoring her dad, they've been given a tip. Somebody named Michael, not to be confused with our main character, Mike. Michael is going to give them a tour of that original restaurant where Charlotte was killed, and they're excited about it. Their whole gimmick is to go into old places and tape, and usually fake, ghostly things. This is the real McCoy.
But we are supposed to think it is Mike, because they say Mike, the security guard at Freddy's, has given us an invitation to come. We're not breaking and entering. Mike is letting us in. It's not until they arrive that they meet Mike, and Mike says, "Call me Michael." We find out, A, it's not the Freddy's we know of. It's the first Freddy's from that opening. B, it's not the Mike we know. It's Michael. And C, McKenna Grace, what happened, girl? You were like a lead of Ghostbusters, and now you're just a minor character to be killed here.
Well, she's still lead of Ghostbusters.
I'm not sure if they'll make another one of those.
She's the lead on that team of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly. That she's just kind of doing the same thing as a bit part. And that's surprising because she was a highlight of those redos. But yeah, this is a nothing role, a thankless role that's basically going to allow the villain to come back. This group is milling around the place. They split up. She hears a music box tinkling and finds it. Boy, the audience was really freaking out and screaming about rewind it and I guess doing all the things you're supposed to when you see it in the game. But of course, she closes it, and that means that the marionette is no longer asleep. It can rise up out of a giant box and possess her.
We're far enough into the movie now where there's been somewhat of a lull in the action and we need some more kills, and so these guys are going to be our fresh meat into the grinder. It's a team of 3 people. It's the gal that we were just talking about, and she has 2 guys with her, and one of them is off investigating the little tunnel of love from the boat ride, and the other one is off looking in the back rooms or whatnot. But we get some fun little creepy kills here. You know, things slowly start going wrong. With the one guy is standing next to the ledge of the waist-deep water, which they're making it seem like it's a chasm of water. But these creepy little, I think they're marionette toys. Like maybe there were things that kids could win and take home, because they have that creepy face on them. They just kind of keep getting closer and getting in the water, and we don't get a gruesome kill, but we get some blood in the water here.
Yeah, it's like Piranha.
Yeah, I was surprised that we get 3 kills here, and one of them I knew, besides McKenna Grace. I knew the cameraman named Alex. He was this year in that Final Destination movie. He played Charlie, one of the main characters. He was also in the first season of Chucky. So I kind of thought he and McKenna Grace were going to be bigger characters as I know them. I didn't know the nerdy guy, so I figured he was dead meat.
It's creepy, I will say that. When she gets turned and the eyes glow and she gets the marionette makeup and the black tears running down her face and all of that, that is some creepy stuff. That, I think, hits harder than anything in that first movie and will give people pause.
Yeah, and it's changing what we know of the rules in this universe, right? Like, she's somewhat spectral. She can float, or at least, like, glide along the floor without moving her feet. So this is somewhat paranormal now.
The same way that William Afton covered up the death of Charlotte in that first 1982 incident by saying she went into an area she wasn't supposed to, here, this Lisa Ghostbuster is following music on her own and kind of makes Michael mad because she's like, you and Alex go off. I'm going to follow this music I'm hearing. And she discovers this music box that I guess has been playing for 20 years consecutively and keeping the spirit of Charlotte at bay.
Maybe. Or Michael is more in on it than we know, and he's been making sure the music box continually plays until there's somebody there that can be possessed. It seems like Michael set this whole thing up as a trap, is what I'm saying.
Quite possibly. But a character that we thought would maybe be hanging around for a while is now working for evil. She can't leave the place. We hear her scream as soon as Michael runs out. It looks like he might get it too, but she can't go through the front door and she's screaming, and he does confirm it. I was glad that he did it. It was for the dummies in the audience, but he's like, welcome back, Charlotte. And I go, oh, good. Okay. I understand what's happening. It's not the Marionette. It's the girl that was killed and died in the Marionette's arms.
Right. And she possessed the Marionette the same way the other ghost kids possessed the other ones. But we were told their bodies were shoved in those animatronics. And Charlotte wasn't shoved in the Marionette because everyone saw her die. They'd wonder why you weren't burying that body. So it's just magic. We're just going to have to go with spooky magic.
That's what I'm saying. This changes what we know now. It's somewhat spectral and paranormal, more so than the first movie.
Vanessa will talk about it a little bit later. She'll say that even as a young girl, she would go down into that room and see the girl ghost sitting in front of that box and try to talk her, knew that she was an angry spirit that wanted to hurt parents. And that will be the mission. I'm out to kill not William Afton, the man that stabbed me 3 times, but all the neglectful parents who wouldn't listen to me when I was screaming child in danger.
I think we're supposed to be shocked or at least questioning Michael's motivation, because in the games, Michael is kind of a hero.
You don't get that here. No, he's got a weird leer that the second he shows up and smiles, you go, bad guy. And people next to me are going, say your last name. They know who he is.
Yeah, but he shows up in the 5th game as the character you're playing and then gets murdered at the end of it. He's not a massive character from the game. So there is a little bit of kind of like what Marvel does when they adapt their comics. It's like you think you know the story we're going to tell with Tony Stark getting drunk, but then we're going to pull the rug out from under you and twist a few things, and it's not what you expected. You think you know the Mandarin. Oh, wait, that's just a drunk guy who likes soccer. That kind of a twist.
Yeah, you don't want the audience that's played the game to feel too on their toes about what's happening. Everyone needs to get a little bit shaken up. And yes, they know he's a bad character. They know that he's William Afton's son. And as you've stated, if you thought Matthew Lillard was coming back to do a big part, he's really just going to show up here in the next scene for a dream sequence. He is dead. That character died in the bunny suit in the first movie, and it is for Vanessa to process that. She decides to try the lucid dreaming. She sets out all the objects of the abducted children in front of her bed and tries to do what Mike did in trying to find Garrett. She's going to go back into the house and face her father. In this lucid dream, sometimes she's a child running away, sometimes she's the police officer gunning him down, but no matter what she does, he always ends up laughing at her and saying, you'll always be mine. And I don't know that that gets corrected in this movie.
It doesn't. It is, again, supposed to be like a tease for the next movie, which is a huge flaw of this film, especially its climax, is that it leaves way too much just to be in the next movie. This is fine if we're talking episodic weekly television. Not so great for movies where part 3 hasn't even been announced and probably isn't, anything more than an idea in Scott Cawthorn's head.
What's the focus then? Well, you could say maybe there is none, but I think the thing that's the strength, I think in this movie is Abby, right? I feel most grounded when I'm paying attention to what she's doing. And she's, again, struggling to make her Chica, missing her friends, when that fast talker starts saying her name at night and saying, yes, I'm Chica, and I can tell you where we're really at. Yeah, it's going to lure her to the original restaurant, and new animatronics under the guise of the Marionette are going to fix up that science project and kind of manipulate her. They're going to puppet her to do a lot of their bidding in Act 2.
It's such a long con to lure her there just to hang out with her and help her with a science project. You'd think that it would be immediately, let's get to the codes. But there's a lot of just hanging out with this little girl just to gain her trust that feels not needed.
But she doesn't know the codes. They have to get Vanessa. So that's the thing. Vanessa will never give up the codes on her own. But if they have Abby in danger, that's when she'll start talking. And yes, that means there's got to be a lot of back and forth. I just want to point out something amazing that you probably don't realize when you're watching this, but stay for the credits. Poor Megan Fox. This is what she's doing in 2025. She's the voice of new Chica.
This isn't a feel bad for Megan Fox, this is what she's doing. This is a cameo. The voice of Toy Freddy was one of the voice actors from the video game, and the voice of Toy Bonnie is a major game YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, she's been doing voices for Mortal Kombat video games, so...
This is what I'm saying, people. She was the it girl of 2007, and now, well, anyway, Abby loves her, and Abby's fooled by her, and Chica gets fixed. She can now go to the science fair and tell everyone, hey, I can participate. And this is where we really turn on Wayne Knight. He was kind of a jerk before, but ooh, I want to kill him. Forget the Chica coming and crushing his head. I want to get this guy when he intentionally drops her robot and breaks it so that she cannot participate.
Yeah, jerk move for sure. I'm with you. But are we also still supposed to pretend that Abby's really good at robotics because these other animatronics made her robot for her? Like, at this point, she's cheating.
She is. There's no doubt about it. She doesn't deserve it. Someone else did her project. But, you know, it wouldn't be the first time that someone won for their dad or mom doing it for them.
I agree, but I just think it's basic screenwriting to give us a motivation for this teacher being evil or have him be evil to everyone. You know, this feels like Mr. Hand with Spicoli. I know why Mr. Hand was mean to Spicoli. Spicoli was ordering pizzas in the middle of class. Maybe there's a cut scene where Abby did something to bring the wrath of Berg upon herself.
Her science partner literally says he's like that to everybody. We just don't see it.
But he's not. He broke nobody else's.
We're not focused on anybody else. It's not like he's praising everybody else. I literally think it's, if you had made a robot of anything other than a Fazzbear character, I probably could have been behind you. But you're promoting an animatronic I don't like, and you've done it badly, and it's falling apart days before we're supposed to take the crown again. There's some motivation, but this is a new level of dictum, and we're going to be really happy when he gets it later.
Yeah, I'll give Wayne Knight credit. Like, he is playing his role perfectly. No matter what the motivation is supposed to be or what is on screen or not on screen, I'm on board for him getting tracked down by an animatronic and killed for this.
But he's not stretching. He's playing Newman from Seinfeld, exactly. I mean, it's, hello, Mr. Berg. I mean, he is playing what he's played, and that's the most motivation I can give his character is, oh, well, Wayne Knight's always a slime ball. Jurassic Park, Seinfeld, Basic Instinct, he's sweating as he's lusting after Sharon Stone. He's always a slime ball, so let's just go with that as why he's a jerk. It's lazy, though.
If you think about this in terms of a kid's film, stars that are past their prime coming back and doing their bits in a kid's film is what you'd expect him to be doing. And Abby, yes, resourceful Abby runs back to Megan Fox Chica, and she's like, okay, I'll be your science project. I'll go back there, and you'll win with me. I mean, this is even more impressive. Why enter a miniature when I can come stomping in there? But in order to do that, we have to shut down the perimeter lock. They cannot leave because Vanessa, long time ago, set it up so that nothing can get past the front doors. And Vanessa is grabbed by possessed Lisa. This is where she coughs up that code.
Yeah, and Vanessa apparently had some time in programming class and stuff like that. She designed a whole system with icons and 8-bit graphics and all this stuff. That pretty impressive for somebody who I think was a cop and not a programmer on the side.
What's weird is later, she's going to be working with Mike, and Mike's going to be the one to stay behind and do all the computer stuff while she drives around. I would have switched that.
I agree. That would have been better writing, except Vanessa, as far as I know, never sat in a console at the games, whereas Mike did. So they're just recreating the games. But yes, that system is straight out of the games, you know, when they deal with that entire camera viewing and map system and all that is in the games.
In order to get back to the science fair, they have to get a ride from the cabbie from the first film. They're bringing everything back, even small incidental characters. Everyone but Mary Stuart Masterson is coming back. And the guy that was surprised when the giant bear got in his cab last movie is now shocked to see Chica without her beak on.
That's because this guy is Corey X. Kenshin, the YouTuber that helped propel FNAF to stardom. I mean, people were excited to see him not because he was the cabbie in the last film, but because they've been watching this guy on YouTube for a decade now. So that's why he's back and why my audience went berserk, like chicken jockey level berserk when he showed up.
And they're playing the romantics, talking in your sleep while he's doing it. Again, so many callbacks, so many Easter eggs. This is somebody's idea of some kind of Da Vinci Code puzzle solving that I am only tangentially understanding. Let's talk about Mike. Again, Josh Hutcherson, not a lot of fun in this movie. I have to keep telling myself that he's not Abby's dad, but brother. And he has chewed out Vanessa because she was friends with Charlotte. He called the flyer number, found out about Charlotte. This is where he starts to really distrust her. And for the rest of the movie, they're going to become more and more estranged.
Is it? That's not how I took it. I took it as talking to Skeet Ulrich gave Mike some information and he's blowing off Vanessa. But the big thing is where he tells Vanessa, I'm trying to fix you. He doesn't mean to say it in that way, but he's like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help everybody. I'm the one holding shit together here. And that drives a wedge between them. I think he trusts her all the way up until he finds out she's been hiding a secret brother. I really think that was a hairpin turn in his character at the end that I didn't see coming.
It's the beginning of the estrangement. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're opposed. They're going to work together and grab CB radios and participate in the climax. But you can see that they're not falling in love here. Quite the opposite.
Right. Like you said, Stuart, I think the seeds of distrust are starting to be planted in the Skeet Ulrich scene where he finds out that Vanessa was friends with the original girl who died there. Now he's got even more questions about Vanessa and her past.
The audience was all a whisper when they see Henry Emily. I don't know what he is in the games, but I get the sense that he's a bigger part of the games than he is of this movie. Skeet Ulrich has maybe a little bit more screen time than Matthew Lillard does here.
Yeah, he's the original partner in the game to Afton. So I guess in the game, this is a character that all the fans are already aware of. And I don't know that he looks like the guy from the game or not, but to me, I was like, oh, it's Skeet Ulrich. That's cool. We got both the guys from Scream here.
Well, they're obviously doing that because those two were partners in killing in Scream, and now they're partners in this Freddy Fazzbear stuff.
Yeah, and he's helping things click for Mike because Mike saw that Abby had drawn her and Chica walking over a bridge with boats, and now he's seeing pictures of the original restaurant that he did not know existed and seeing that those were attractions, and that must mean that Abby has been there. She's not just talking into her Faz talker, she has actually gone to this other location, and after he calls the science fair and finds out that she left in a huff, he's headed over there as well.
And I do want to just add, I dinged them for trying to put too much of the second game in here, but they are bringing in stuff like they did the first movie. Afton wasn't really expounded on until the third game. Here, Henry didn't show up until like the 6th or 7th game and became a main character then. So they are bringing this stuff in a little bit earlier, and I'm glad they are giving us some kind of development. But again, I wish it wasn't all set up for next time. Everybody was so excited to see the Scream guys reunite, Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard together again. We're probably not seeing that in the next Scream film because Skeet Ulrich has said recently he lost his job when they fired the actresses. His connection to the franchise left. And so people wanted to see them together here. Now you got to buy another ticket for that.
I'll say from a design standpoint, they did a good job of making the different iterations of these animatronics different enough on screen that I could tell, for the most part, who was who. Some of them are very similar looking, but the newer ones that we're mostly following are these big, almost metal versions that really clunk around and you can feel the weight of their steps. You can hear them coming. Where the original ones from the first movie are a little fuzzier, a little lighter. You can see that. It's its third set of them that I think get a little bit lost because they look a lot like the original ones, but I think the big difference is their eyes are red most of the time.
I got a pro tip on how to know which location you're at. The original location has an awning that's bent at the side, so it's like a half hexagon, whereas the newer location from the last movie is just a straight up rectangle hanging over the door. That is how I was able to tell which one we were at when we were outside.
Yeah, it was basically both just like by the woods in an overgrown parking lot, so...
It's not easy. They don't do a great job of differentiating. They do when you get inside. Again, that river ride helps a lot. But yes, the point is Mike is headed to the original restaurant. He's rescuing Vanessa, who has been kept alive. We'll see that McKenna Grace has been killed. She did not survive the possession, but Vanessa is alive, and this is where they decide that he'll sit at the computer and play the original game, right? This is the thing where you sit by an open door.
It's most of the original games, yes. I mean, several of them. It is specifically in part 2 that you would put up a mask to your face to confuse the animatronics that you are an animatronic too, and it would fool all of them but Foxy in the game.
Right, yes. And boy, that was explained to me by everyone around me. They were like, oh, wait till Foxy tries it. I mean, like, it was helpful and it was cute. And again, it helped me understand how much this movie was working for a certain segment of this audience. But yes, he's going to sit there in the chair and complain about the fact that there's no door while she's going to drive around. And the point is that where are these animatronics? We do know that Chica, of course, has gone back to win the science fair. And in order to do that, she has to kill Wayne Knight in a scene that is pretty creepy. I got to say, I was surprised again at how it goes. The buildup is good. And when they actually crush his head, it's not bloody, but it's graphic. The sound effects make you linger on the nastiness of it.
It is a good kill. It is a deserved kill. It is killing off a character who we don't like, so we want to see them killed. The whole reason why Wayne Knight picked on Abby is just so we could have someone for Chica to kill in this moment. And so we're not like, ooh, Chica killed a good person. And I liked the line, I want to see what's going on in your head in this scene. I'm like, okay, that's a good, like Freddy line, Freddy Krueger, not Freddy Fazzbear kind of line. I'll go with it. This use of them worked. Unfortunately, she's going to be like, I want to see what's going on in your head more in this movie. And it undercuts how good that it was this one time.
Yeah, I can see that. But like Stuart likes to do is remind us what movie we're in, right? So if we're just judging this scene, I think this scene does a good job of being PG-13 creepy. All of a sudden you find yourself the only person in a dark school hallway, trapped in a room. That would be nightmare fuel if you were still in middle school.
That's what I'm saying, is this scene is good alone. In isolation, the scene is good. I want to stress that. It's a creepy scene. I just wish they hadn't done it again later.
When they do it again later, I think it's also creepy, but we'll get there. I mean, it's a threat against a major character. They're going to kill Vanessa with that line. So you worry about that. It's one thing to kill Wayne Knight. It's another thing to kill who's ostensibly one of the heroines of the movie. But before we get there, yes, where is Freddy going? He's going to Elm Street. That has to be a Krueger joke, right?
Oh, absolutely right, yeah. You've got a Freddy and Elm Street. Yes, they're referencing my favorite Freddy.
But before that, he does get to walk around in Faz Fest and impress some of the cosplayers. And of course, there's the jealous one who's in a really sad costume, calling it shit. But they all know that this thing rocks. And of course, when he says, I have to go pull off heads before I can compete in the costume contest, you know he means it, which is why it's so disappointing that he ends up at the house of two no-names. I don't think that these were parents from the opening scene, is it?
If it's supposed to be, they didn't do anything to establish that.
Again, you would want them to be very recognizable. They're 20 years older. Their kids aren't living in the house anymore. There's an ad for the Faz Fest on the TV. If they could say, oh, that was a ripoff when we were there or something, that would help. But these just feel like randos, and Freddy is not attacking the right people.
Yeah, if that's the purpose here, then you give those characters some sort of visual cue from back in the 80s that you can bring back here in modern days. So we're like, oh, that's the same people. Ultimately, does it matter that they're going after the exact parents or not? I would think it should matter because that gives purpose to why they're even out there trying to kill people. But if they're just killing parents in general, it's a little too shorthandy for me.
Well, here's the irony, is that the kids that were with her in 1982 are the parents now. So she's literally just killing other kids at the birthday table and not the parents that were not paying attention to her. As we'll see when Bonnie attacks, Bonnie the bunny goes for this little girl and her mom, she can't be more than 35 or something. Yeah, they're going to stab her at the kitchen table. Bonnie gives the speech, or rather, I should say, Charlotte, acting as the marionette, gives the speech that all parents are the same. It doesn't matter what parents I kill, because everyone is equally as deserving, because they're all bad. Clearly, she's got some daddy issues, and it makes me wonder what Skeet Ulrich did to her.
Mike sees Chica has gone to his house, and instead of going to his house to help Abby, he goes to Freddy's first and implores the ghosts, "You've got to help me." The ghosts that he doesn't have any clue if they're there. It's literally like going to church while somebody is sick. You pray and you hope somebody hears you and it's going to help that sick person, but you might want to hire a doctor too.
You got somebody with an arm cut off in your car, and on the way to the hospital, you stop by the church to slap down a quick prayer.
I mean, it should also be said, Mike did figure out the signal that, the way it worked, and I don't know why you would design it this way, but the Marionette character back in 1982 was supposed to be telepathically, through a radio signal, controlling the other animatronics. I don't know why you wouldn't all have them all being controlled by a main computer, but they had a computer controlling a computer, and that signal has been cut. But because the Marionette is in Chica, she can fire it right back up. And we do have a few more busy scenes. There's Foxy, who doesn't get enough love, I think, in this movie. He's ripping apart Vanessa's car as she's driving along, trying to get to the house with Freddy Fazzbear on Helm Street.
Yeah, because we found out that Foxy at the original was a mistake. They tried to tear apart Foxy. So now Foxy is like the snake elephant thing that's been torn apart and put back together. So it's tearing apart the car the way it was torn apart. And stuff is happening and it's keeping me engaged. I'll say that much.
Yeah, they end up throwing him through the window and knocking down the bear, and that couple that I don't know who they are end up running over and meeting the lawyer from the last movie. There's a joke of, actually one of the more funny characters was Mary Stuart Masterson's lawyer that didn't want to have any part of her criminal undertakings. He just happens to be the neighbor and offering his services as this couple is trying to escape killer animatronics.
Yeah, but what he says is you need a good lawyer. That means not him.
I don't know, he seemed pretty good to me. He had ethics. I trusted him more than the people around him. But yes, in the end, everyone is going to descend on Mike's house. The climax is all headed towards get him back to Mike's house. Chica, or rather the Marionette, has walked Abby back there, and cracks like an egg, and the Marionette busts out and possesses her. And boy, when Vanessa finds her, that is the creepiest moment in the whole movie. I've got to say, possessed Abby with her limbs flailing and her eyes glowing and that leer on her face as she cackles. Yeah, unnerving.
It was very Evil Dead is what I was getting out of it. It was really giving me a Sam Raimi vibe.
And the build-up with the Faz talker, speak and spell, luring Vanessa into the room, all of that really good stuff, actually. And Mike stops this madness by arriving and using that music box. Skeet Ulrich randomly had asked him to leave it at the original restaurant as some kind of token, eulogy, like what people do on grave sites. But it does have the power to put Charlotte back to sleep. It was made for her as a baby to go to sleep. And so Vanessa is quickly brought back to life. And I do know that some of my audience had problems with that. They were screaming, she should be dead. They didn't like the fact that the kid got restored.
My audience went the other way. When she was restored, Mike closes the music box and somebody in the back goes, "Why'd you turn it off?" And so I think that they were fine with that, but by stopping the music box, he knew that the Marionette, Charlotte, was going to attack again.
The last part of the movie, yes. You can anticipate that because, yes, Mike does not leave the music box. But it would be annoying, right? That's why he closes it, because I don't want to hear that tinkling of the whole rest of the scene when we have Michael come back in. He finally lays out what could already be guessed by just about everyone watching the film. He is the son of Lillard and created FazFest so that he could have these robots come in there and kill everyone. And Vanessa makes, a half-assed attempt to try and talk him down from this, that we could be normal, she's trying to be normal. Again, it makes you wonder about how participatory she was in the killings. In the flashbacks, we've only seen her with the yellow rabbit. This is all a retcon, that there's this son character. So I don't know why he's more loyal to Dad, but he says some of the things that the dad said to her in the dream. You're his property, you have a purpose, you need to do this. And he would have basically sicked the toy animatronics on all three and killed them. But yes, this is the big cheer moment. Boy, when the old characters with the ghost kids inside of them come and rip out their counterparts, the crowd is wild.
It is the biggest reaction I've heard in a movie theater since 2019 when Anthony Mackie told Chris Evans, on your left, the portals opened and the Avengers assembled in Endgame is the last time I heard such uproarious shouts of approval at the screen.
Well, I mean, that was 12 movies of build-up to that moment. Here we're a movie and some in to a moment where if you're not into the lore, this doesn't mean anything to me.
Right. But to reframe it for the kids, they've been playing this game their whole life. So it is as built up in their minds. When you hear Foxy singing that song, da-dum-dum-dum-dum, I don't know what it is. It means something to this generation. They love it.
A lot of things happen in this final scene that I feel like if you're not plugged into the lore of the games, it's just going to go over your head and feel like it's landing with a thump. I mean, Mike basically telling Vanessa to pound sand. I mean, I know this character from this movie and the previous movie, but this feels very out of character for him. Like, for him to just be like, I'm done with you, get out of here.
It's very weird. It's very abrupt. This whole ending is very abrupt. I just don't feel like a climax occurred. I know the 4 original animatronics showed up and ripped apart the new animatronics, but that happened in like 15 seconds. It was very fast. And then Jeremiah appears and is like, well, we left the place now. That means the guy we've been holding there spiritually is going to be stronger and free. But he does say we're going to heaven. This is why I said it's embracing Christianity. He's like, we'll see you in heaven, but don't get there too fast, Abby. Enjoy your life. We have to now go because we've been dead a long time. And I'm expecting now the climax of the movie to begin. I know we just had a triumphant moment, but I don't feel like we've had a climax yet. And guess what? I'm going to go home blue-balled because there's no climax coming.
I definitely felt served by watching the old good robots with the ghost children ripping up the Marionette's puppeteered animatronic versions of them. I think there's been action for the last 40 minutes, actually.
I feel like either the Marionette needs to go down or Afton needs to rise. They're telling me Afton is rising. So this is the only time in the movie I checked my watch. Is I'm like, I feel like this has been going on forever. And now we're at the climax. And I check. I'm like, wait, I know this movie's only an hour, 43 minutes. There's no climax.
I'm going to split the difference on that because I feel like there was enough of a climax here for me to be like, okay, great. But I was also a little bit afraid that it wasn't. And when the credits came up, I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God we're not going into one more act of this. Because even though it leaves me with questions that I don't know that I want the answers to, I was happy that this was finally over for this ride.
Well, Fast is safe. The characters that were going to go in there and kill everyone have been disabled, and Michael, in trying to run away, was taken down by Jeremiah, so there is no one to do any more harm to anybody. The villains have been vanquished, and the anti-heroes have also been vanquished. The ghost kids have also, gone off to heaven or wherever they're going and left those bodies. It should all be done, except if you paid attention to that musical cue. He shut the music box, and that means that Marionette's not dead. When they walk away from Vanessa, and I get that you failed to mention that you had a brother and that you, as a family, lured kids to their death, I could understand why you would not want to get kissy face with Vanessa in this moment. But you mentioned Evil Dead. It's a real Evil Dead moment when Marionette zooms up behind her and possesses Vanessa, and we see those glowing eyes. We know what part 3 will be about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a resolution to this situation. It's not a finale to the problems that are happening.
And if we were to attack this movie for that, we would have to attack Minnie. Right? That's just the way movies are made now. One kid even screamed out, see you in 2 years. They know the drill. They know what this is. Movies have become television with longer gaps between episodes.
There is some level of differentiation, though. I still feel, even if you leave lingering stuff, a movie needs to be a individual experience.
Fast was saved. That was the button put on this. They saved Fast Fest, the town is saved, and all the characters are, with the exception of what we're going to see in the mid-credits, and, what we see with Vanessa, all the evil has been vanquished.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from a point of view, our main character, Abby, is safe now, and that's the resolution to this particular story.
And she had to say goodbye to her friends. She got that closure, right? She at least got to see one of them, the one that probably aged the least, and, get teary and say goodbye. And now she won't be obsessed with that and won't need to make mechanical versions of them. She has the real ones lying in her living room.
Despite the fact that this movie opened by saying, stick around till the very end, and Stuart texted me and said there's something at the very end, so I was staying put, my theater audience was done. They were going for the door, and I'd say a third were out the door by the time the mid-credit sequence started, and then a whole bunch of people ran back in from the hallway to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, I got the sense that people wanted bathroom breaks and check their phones and, an hour, 40 minutes is a long time for some people to go without engaging with their electronics.
You mean your audience wasn't checking their phones during it? They were checking their phones the entire movie for me.
Now, I didn't see a lot of that, but, I wasn't looking either.
So what do we get here with this mid-credit scene? It's characters we don't know. It's new characters, but they're at the original Freddy's with the river.
Nope. You can tell the flyers are on it. This is where Atherton died in the first movie.
Okay. So they're at that location, which is said to be getting torn down in the next day. So they're there to scavenge stuff. And I guess they're making a haunted house and using real masks and stuff like that. My kids tell me that that's a plot of one of the games. So this is another thing pulled right from the lore.
Yes, you don't know Patrick and Robert and Ethan, but when they said the name Ethan, there was a segment of the audience that made a big, oh! So yes, this is somebody's game. They liked this one. They were excited. Screaming, show it, show it, show it. It's a big tease that they found a secret room and that they're looking at something. We're seeing it through the POV of the yellow bunny. It's the last shot when we see it covered in the plastic and one eye glowing.
I was a little disappointed that we didn't see some sort of discovery of the secret room because, to be honestly, all those back rooms feel like secret rooms. I would like to have seen light coming through some bricks or something, but nope, we're just in this secret room, apparently.
I agree. I do think we will see these three actors again. I looked them up because I wanted to see if they were famous YouTubers and cameoing, but they appear to be actors from stuff. Ethan was in one of the Maze Runner films, and the others have quite a few credits behind them. I wonder if they've been cast to be some of the stars of Part 3. I did like the little mention that this yellow bunny reeks, that he smells really bad. I'm yes, there's a rotting corpse in there. I would hope he smells bad. So we know it's flesh. And yeah, the glowing eye tells us that the zombie of Afton will return.
And then, yes, there's an end stinger like there was in the first film. It's audio. As the last of the credits are rolling up, we hear this time a voice that's a little more intelligible. It sounds like this is Skeet Ulrich, right? Henry Emily is recording a cassette that he plans to send to Mike, basically admitting something that anyone that played the games would already know. He worked with Atherton, and that maybe the killing of his daughter was strategic. We don't know. He can track the Marionette, and he knows it's coming from Mike, and then we hear something in the background that would indicate that it gets him. No more Skeet Ulrich for the sequel.
Well, I guarantee Skeet Ulrich is coming back for the sequel for flashback scenes, but you would think that when Henry met Mike and gave him all the story on Charlotte, he might also go, oh yeah, I built those animatronics, I knew William well, Billy and me, we were friends.
Well, he did. I mean, again, he talked about his ambition, and he talked about the devil sitting across from him, so he was saying it without saying it. He was focusing on the fact that Atherton was the one that murdered his daughter. In that moment, that makes sense. Yes, I suppose you could argue that he should have said it in that moment, but watching it a second time, I was looking for that. I bought the scene.
I'll say this. I think it would have served the audiences better if these two post-credit scenes were swapped around. If we would have got this Skeet Ulrich audio mid-credits for people like us, who are just kind of there, maybe their kids are into it, and we would have got a little bit of a, okay, so there's a little bit of something for the next time I'm here with my kids watching the next movie. Some information I didn't know, and on the car ride home, my kids will tell me who that guy is in the games. And then end with the tease for what's coming the next game with the haunted house guys and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. Except that they already established that, the audio tease comes after the mid-credits visual. But last time it was just a gag with a cab driver. These feel like they are more directly indicating what they're going to do. That next time we will see Yellow Bunny, if not Matthew Lillard, playing a big role. And yes, they're not done with the Marionette. They may be done with Charlotte.
Yeah, and Matthew Lillard, I did read, was signed to a 3-picture deal. So, again, there will at least be flashback scenes, maybe rotted zombie head scenes with him in makeup. And yeah, I was surprised. Again, Matthew Lillard said at the end, stay till the very end. And me and a group of 5 did. Everybody else filed out during this. I was shocked at how few people stuck around till the end.
And yet, I feel like they weren't trying to run away from the movie. They had been served, they enjoyed it, and they were hanging around talking about it and, holding up their popcorn buckets. It was pretty clear that they were happy with what they had just seen.
Oh yeah, like I said, my audience was cheering and applauding. Huge applause as credits rolled. I'm calling them dumb. I'm saying they're stupid. They left. They missed part of the movie. I'm calling them out. They enjoyed it. They would have eaten this shit up. And they left. That's what I'm saying.
They should have known better, is what you're saying.
Yes.
They didn't want to sit and watch those boring credits, and I can't blame them. They'll watch it again when it streams next week, and they can fast forward to the good part.
Or they'll just search it on the way home in the car and see exactly what we saw, but somebody's already recorded it and uploaded it.
Yeah, it's probably on TikTok right now. Justin Stewart, do you recommend Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Justin.
I think I've been pretty obvious with my flabbergastedness at this franchise, I guess, if I'm going to make up a word. Like, I have to just admit that this is not aimed at me, it's not for me, and therefore it's not grabbing me. But that doesn't mean I can't sit here and try to enjoy it for what it is. And I try to meet it at its level, like Stuart likes to do a lot of times. And if I'm going to do that, I will say that this movie franchise is doing some stuff right. They're taking a very popular product that these younger generations have been into and love and putting it on the big screen. And they're doing it with some degree of love behind it. The original creator behind this, it's not like it's just a sick money grab by some corporation. I mean, I know it is making money, but it doesn't feel like it's exploitative of the original material. It's actually embracing its fandom in a way that I think is a win in modern day movies, because you don't see that an awful lot. So many things are sequels of this or retellings of that and whatever. Like I said up top, this is the one movie that both of my kids actually wanted to go see opening weekend at a theater. That's an accomplishment. That right there is an accomplishment in 2025. So while I can admit this movie is not for me and I don't necessarily enjoy it, I can admit that they're putting effort into it. They are getting people who can act. They're putting time and effort into the special effects, and they're definitely following the lore that is laid down by this game, albeit lore that I'm not aware of and I don't think I could get into if I sat down and tried playing these games. So I just have to admit that I'm kind of on the sidelines here with this franchise. But if I have to look at it as a movie and a standalone story, I feel underserved as just an audience member. I feel like they put a bunch of stuff on screen and they went from A to B and it does end, but all that stuff in the middle, I just don't know that I care about. So much of it, every scene, every plot line has ties to something that happened off screen in a video game years ago. And some of that is fine, but too much of it just makes it feel like a door that I can't squeeze through and enjoy it on a level with everybody else who's enjoying it. So I can't say that I don't recommend this, because if you're a fan of this franchise, you're going anyway, and you're probably excited you've already seen it. But I will say this, I enjoyed this one more than the original, and I think they made improvements from the first time out. So knowing that we're going back at least one more time, I can't say I'm excited, but I'm interested to see if they keep improving bit by bit, and if they start showing some of this lore on screen more than just assuming that I'm coming in with the knowledge of it. So I'm going to save my overall feelings of this until we get some sort of resolution on this, but for now, I'm going to give this one a mild recommend.
That's a recommend.
Yep.
And curious, Justin, I'd like to know, what did your kids think?
They both dug it, but the conversation in the car afterwards is all about, oh, because of this and this game and this and that game and this guy did that, and it wasn't really about the movie.
Yeah, I connect with that.
Stuart.
What I picked up in this movie is the big theme was fixing things, right? Mike was trying to fix up a house, and Vanessa was trying to fix her nightmares. Abby was trying to fix her friends and build robotics. And the creators that have a giant $100 million franchise are trying to fix something that people want to consume, but just wasn't very good last time. And that seemed to be the popular sentiment. Again, with my audience last time, there was no cheering, there was no talking to the screen, there was no fun. We were all confused and underwhelmed and just felt like there was a better movie that got lost in a fun, subversive idea. As a former Chuck E. Cheese showbiz employee, I really wanted to love it, and I just walked away going, what a mess. And here, I think they fixed it. I really do think that so much has been addressed. It's not boring anymore. It's easy to watch and mostly easy to follow. Yes, some things happen and kind of go by fast. I'm going to quote another audience member. He was like, yeah, there were plot points that don't make sense, but overall it was bad. And he didn't mean that in the idea that it was a bad movie. He meant that in the Michael Jackson 80s vernacular of he liked it. He dug it. And I do think that if you just want to see the subversion of an 80s animatronic restaurant become a slasher movie, this one actually has some pretty impressive kills and a decent feel and is a good primer for the 13-year-old in you or the 13-year-old you know to go and appreciate this. The more knowledge you have of the game, I think the more you're going to see it as a text to decode. But even without that, I would say it's a fairly easy thing to consume. I'm struck kind of by a quote that was a random line given in the movie of, I don't hate you, but stay out of my way, I think is what Charlotte says to one of the characters. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. I'm like, it's not really great. Don't hear this as overpraise, but it's a relief. I think after eating that Popeye's chicken and rewatching that first movie, I thought I was going to have to suffer a really terrible experience. And for the video game retrospective, this one is an easy recommend.
From what I've been reading online, the Five Nights at Freddy's games got more interesting as they went. It started as that small indie game, the first one was, and by part 3, they were crafting a deep mythology and characterizations that really started this mass media craze. Or, as Wayne Knight's Mr. Berg might say, some of you have been swept up in the stupidity. And God knows my audience was swept up in the stupidity. I sat there dumbfounded while people around me cheered and hooted, and I realized something. This is just another Minecraft chicken jockey. It's fan service that only works for people already in the cult. Thankfully, no one in my screening threw an extra large popcorn in the air while filming it for TikTok while the old animatronics came and beat up the new animatronics, but I bet we're only a couple days away from people doing that and making it an extreme meme. But while these 20-somethings lose their shit over how great they think this movie is, I'm not losing my shit over anything. I'm not swept up in their stupidity, nor am I abhorring this film. I do think part 2 is better than the first. A little bit. It flows slightly better. There's just less logical confusion. We had very valid questions last time about how many kids were killed, how many ghosts are there, where does this all fit together, why is the animatronic killer hanging out at parks? Josh doesn't spend half this movie literally asleep worrying about characters we'll never meet. So, yeah, this movie goes down better than trying to drink gasoline. But only a little bit. I mean, the script is still incredibly freaking lazy. Characters have no motivation. Why is Mr. Berg such a dick? I don't know. Why is Michael trying to resurrect Charlotte and not just resurrect his dad? I don't know. Why didn't the ghost talk to Abby when she went but had a Fazzbear assemble moment later? I don't know. This film has the I want to see what's going on inside your head joke. The first time it's great, they repeat it. And I'm like, can someone get Scott Cawthorn a new GitHub login? Because he needs to close down Final Draft and get back into Visual Studio. And I think this is one of the most lazy non-endings to a film I've seen in a long freaking time. When it felt like the climax was about to come, the credits rolled. This movie lacked in Act 3 because they want us to pay for another ticket to see Act 3. But here's the whole thing. I'm tempted to recommend this movie. A recommendation is not me saying I like it. It's making me say I think that the film succeeded and you'll like it. That's recommending, is you will like this. God knows my audience loved the movie while I sat there unmoved. And I didn't hate the film despite its massive, obvious flaws. So I guess if it's, I think you'll like this, that would be a recommend. But you know what? You shouldn't like this. You should ask for more. Mr. Berg is right. Don't get swept up in the stupidity. Rise above this. Don't throw your popcorn when the chicken jockey comes on screen just because people online are doing it. And don't watch this movie. Not recommend.
Okay, I hate it. It's still my second least favorite movie of the year, that Minecraft shit. And this movie is way better than that. You're being cruel by making a comparative.
I think the same impulse that causes people to cheer for Chicken Jockey causes people to cheer for that cabbie showing up again in this movie. I think it's all in-jokes for people who played this game 10, 15 years ago and now can masturbate to it happening on screen.
I mean, if people want to have a good time with it, what you're saying is Five Nights at Freddy fans are already pre-sold. They're really going to like it. They are liking it. It doesn't matter what we say. As someone that is not one of those people, I would still say that if I were 13 years old, I would enjoy this. This would be the movie that I'd want to see.
I don't think it would be if you didn't play the games, though. I think my biggest flaw for this, the reason I keep comparing it to Chicken Jockey, is it's fan service. I don't think being 13 is enough. You have to be in the cult. You have had to have played Minecraft and bought the toys and gotten the Happy Meals and really just come to love what Chicken Jockey represents so you can ejaculate popcorn when it shows up on the screen. That's who this movie is appealing to, is the people who've read the novels, because they're taking characters and plot points from the novels. Jeremiah's from the frickin' books. And it all comes from what I can only start to describe as the egomaniacal storytelling of Scott Cawthorn, a person who I am becoming to hate because he continues to think he's a screenwriter instead of a game developer. No, go make your games, Scott. Let a screenwriter who knows structure work on this film series. But he's overseen and masterminded and manipulated everything Five Nights at Freddy's, eventually gained so much control he gets screenwriting credits here. I'm done.
I hear that, and yet you're not. There obviously will be a third movie. It's probably coming in 2 years. I guess there'll be some kind of spinoff, too, because when something's this big, it'll get a TV series or something else will come out of it. I mean, again, there's so much of the lore to explore that I think they'll find ways of bringing it to television and keep this movie universe expanding.
That's my question, though, as I keep getting told there's all this lore, but I feel like they have not put it on screen yet. Like, what is this big backstory? What is the big thing that's driving all of this? And they have yet to even come close to answering a question like that in this series.
No, making it up as they go along. There's no there in the center. There's nothing there. I get that.
No, they're not making it up as they go along this time. They made it up as they went along with the games. Now they're harvesting the lore from the games and just keeping that going.
Its appeal is obvious. If you were a kid and went to those places and people told you animatronics were fun and you were creeped out, this is the movie that confirms you had a right to be creeped out, that there is something kind of diabolical about that kind of family restaurant. And I don't have any connection to those games, but because of my connection to Chuck E. Cheese, Showbiz Pizza, I can really relate to what they're getting at. Just without getting any of the references, there's still something that's very tangible to me that they're doing. And I'm not opposed to another one. Although, again, do I need it? No. I keep wanting this thing to be like Thanksgiving, bloodier, funnier, more satirical, and it's just always going to pander to the kiddies. And why shouldn't it? Look at the way they love it. But I'd rather watch this than like Minions.
I disagree. I like Minions.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I go that far, but I'd watch this before any of the Uva Bowl stuff that we've been in with this arcade.
We will be getting to more video games. It's not over. In fact, in a month, we're returning to Silent Hill. There's a third one of those coming.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm not sure if that's tied to the other two installments or if this is a reboot or a new telling of it.
Same director. I think they're tying something.
That's a property that I've always liked the vibe of. So if they're doing something new with it, I'm not too afraid to go back into Silent Hill.
Yeah, we'll be doing video games throughout next year. I know of a few other ones.
Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Yes, that will be popping up. And some surprises, too. Some things we haven't done that we'll play catch up on. In the meantime, gosh, a franchise that we have not touched in well over a decade, Silent Night, Deadly Night is coming back. And I don't know what the expected box office is. I don't think I've seen a trailer or anything, but they tell me that the movie's coming out this weekend and we'll cover it for next Tuesday.
I saw a trailer online. It's not getting a huge release because, like that Toxic Avenger film, this is an unrated movie. And I'm going to have to travel a little bit to see it because none of the theaters near me are showing it. But hey, I have tickets to go. It's a Cinemark a little ways away to check this out on Thursday night. I have re-listened to all of our shows. You say well over a decade. It's 11 years. We did this in 2014. And so 11 years later, we come back to Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I just hope it's somewhat as fun as some of those we covered.
Indeed. And same wishes for what we're starting on this Friday. We are headed to the Amazon River with J-Lo and Ice Cube and John Voight and beginning our Anaconda retrospective for silver level donors. I hope you can join us for that. I don't know what I'm in for. I've seen none of these films.
It is going to be a beast of a donation drive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Crocodiles, alligators, killer birds, lions, tigers, you name it. The animals are attacking, and we'll be getting our fill of animal-human violence.
Yes, this donation drive opens this week. You can donate now, and here are the levels and the movies. For silver level donors, $10 or more, we usually do 5 films. You're going to get 6 this time around because the Anaconda is in 6 different movies, counting the new reboot that's coming out, or spoof? Is it a spoof? Is it a reboot? It's like a meta sequel. It's kind of like the Human Centipede 2 to the Human Centipede 1, where in Human Centipede 2, Human Centipede 1 was just a movie. That's what they're doing here with Anaconda. So we will be doing 5 Anaconda trips starting this Friday, and then many moons from now, you'll also get the review of Lake Placid versus Anaconda, the crossover everybody wanted.
You know what? It feeds right into our gold level, because for gold level, it's alligators and crocodiles. We have the original 1980 classic John Sayles movie Alligator, and its who knows straight-to-tape sequel, The Mutation, and then Lake Placid. Yeah, I guess that is, one theatrical movie with Bill Pullman and Bridget Fonda, and a whole lot of sci-fi leading up to Croc versus Snake, with Anaconda versus Lake Placid.
Yeah, I love that original. I'll just say right now, I'll reveal my hand. Love Lake Placid. Have watched it dozens of times.
Okay, I've seen none of these movies.
I've never seen a single Lake Placid sequel, though. That should say something.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get what we get, and sometimes it's more fun when the movies are bad. I think you will be served if that's your opinion. But I have seen Platinum Level. If you could go all the way, you're getting a bona fide classic with Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, 1963, Tippi Hedren. Yes, the beaks in her hair, attacking her in the phone booth, walking through the attic, all the classic scenes. We'll be covering that one. They made a sequel in the 90s, almost no one saw but me. And then the delight of the series for me, the movie I can't wait to return to, Tippi Hedren, inspired in part by her work with animals and the birds, bought and brought into her home 150 wild cats, untrained, and tried to make a movie with them and her children. And things went very, very, very bad. It's called Roar, and we will be roaring about that at the very end of the donation drive. All I will say is they were able to save Melanie Griffith's eye.
And then we do have some retrospectives coming back from the grave, in fact. 28 years later, The Bone Temple is opening in January. I have seen trailers to it. It is much more a direct sequel to 28 years later than I expected, given that it's coming from a different director. I thought it might actually just be an anthology story, but no, it's picking up right where 28 years later left off. We knew Bone Temple was coming, so we are picking up our 28 years later retrospective series.
Yeah, we've only covered days and weeks. What's years look like? That first Years Later movie came out last summer. The new one's out in January. We're doing both.
So you can get 21 bonus shows because we did 28 days and weeks later when World War Z came out. So we'll add World War Z to that donation level. 21 bonus level shows at our rage level of podcasts for $45 or more, or for $55 or more. Don't be a strangers.
Yeah, we covered a few years back home invasion movies, one of my favorite subgenres of the horror genre. And The Strangers is, a bona fide classic. The original, love that film. They made a sequel, and then it kind of sat dormant, and now they've allowed Rennie Harlin to remake the original and expand upon it. And he has a new trilogy that will wind up in February. We'll cover all three then.
And then we are bringing back a couple more zombie series from the archive that we did when we did 28 years later. You know, I actually saw Five Nights at Freddy's 2 at the Monroeville Mall, where they shot the original Dawn of the Dead. And they're tearing that mall down. This was my last chance to see this mall. The property has actually been bought by Walmart, and they're tearing the mall apart.
To make a Walmart. Sounds right. Yep. How very Five Nights at Freddy's of them.
Progress.
So you can hear all of the Night of the Living Dead podcasts. There were 9 of them counting the official remakes. And the Return of the Living Dead podcasts. There's 5 more of those. So a total of 40 bonus podcasts are available. You can find all the details on how to donate at nowplayingpodcast.com/donate. And before we leave, I want to give some shout outs to our donors who have just been great supporters on our Patreon or our Podbean. I'm going to start with Zach G, Nitch, Grand Canyon. Every time I think Grand Canyon, I always think of like that 90s movie that tried to be The Big Chill and wasn't.
I think of the actual Grand Canyon, pretty cool.
Maddie B, Fisher JA12, Scott T Ward 1971, Seamus Finlayson, Hey You, Kiefer 51, and Cox J.
Hey, you can't forget about Rudix, Chris Cross, T Costa 2176, J Clark Fisher, S.G. Harsh, Dimitri from Belgium, Now Playing Fan, A. Nick Hosak, Alejandro Avila, Andrew Doran, and Andy Crake.
Not to mention Azana Reed, Carl Grazzo, Chris Hargrave, Chris Harris, Dale Winters, Darker Who Studios, G. LaTorra Yates, Gerald Lavelle, Jay Thunder, Jack Murray, Jeff Wade.
Jeffrey Gaudreau, Jeremy Conrad, Jeremy Mills, Jeremy Smith. Can you tell I alphabetized this by first name? Joe Black, Julian Lewis, Kent Lyons, Kyle Dillard, Laces Out Dan, Larry Glenn, Lee Addison, and Lee Drag. Thank you all so much for your support.
I got a few more for you. Lori Wauchachowska, Lucas Dauscher, Lucy Rodriguez, Mark Moskiki, Mark W., Martin D. Hibbets, Michael Windsor, Mohabir Kimraj, Nath Williams, Neil McCauley, and Patrick Favor.
And last but certainly not least, we have Rafael De Silva, Robert Redden, Scout, Sean O'Keefe, Simon Brennan, Steve Bell, The Fuzzy 0101, Timothy Graham, Tom Jancic, Tom Ward, Trevor Harrison, and Waji Bader.
Thank you all so much for your support and allowing us to keep doing this show. We appreciate all you guys so much that I would go to Five Nights at Freddy's 3 for you.
And boy, will we.
But not Popeyes.
You're dissing on Popeyes. It's better than KFC, damn it.
Yeah, it is. Admittedly, there's a hierarchy.
Where's churches falling in there?
Ooh, I've never had it.
It's been a minute. It's better than the Colonel. I'll go with that. The Colonel's at the bottom.
And one last thing before we go. It is the end of the year, and we know this is the time that Spotify sends out all of those listening stats. If you happen to have had Now Playing as your top listened to podcast, we would love it if you would send us a screenshot of that at show@nowplayingpodcast.com. We're going to do something special for those of you who have us as your top podcast. So if you are one of those people, not to leave out anyone who doesn't use Spotify, but if you do have that on Spotify, send us an email with that graphic and maybe something good will happen. We'll see. So thank you again for your support and for listening to Now Playing and sticking with us in the arcade. And next week, yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Me. I'm getting ready. I have to warm up those pipes again for another carol for the ages.
Oh, are we going caroling? Okay, all right.
Get your figgy pudding ready, everybody.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So, oh, come all ye faithful back to Now Playing next week. And until then, game over.
I will catch you on the flip side.
Hopefully.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Now Playing Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show.
Had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you for playing with me.
Come back to NowPlayingPodcast.com each week for another new movie review podcast.
There's a larger conversation that needs to happen here.
And in the NowPlayingPodcast.com archives, you can find reviews of other video game movies, including Resident Evil, Max Payne, The Wizard, King of Fighters, Angry Birds, Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed, Postal, Silent Hill, Tekken, Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, House of the Dead, Ratchet and Clank, Blood Rain, In the Name of the King, Gran Turismo, Hitman, Dead Trigger, Far Cry, DOA, Dead or Alive, Dungeon Siege, and more.
I think we've come pretty far, considering what we've been through.
Also at our site, you can find hundreds of other movie reviews, including Star Wars, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Independence Day, the Avengers films, Back to the Future, Batman, Superman, The Fast and the Furious, and more.
We're going to have so much fun together.
Do you want to continue? Insert money now to keep playing Now Playing.
Hey, by the way, I do intend on paying you eventually.
Now Playing Podcast is a show without any sponsors or ads. We rely on support from listeners like you to keep Now Playing operating.
If we show you, what will you give us?
Anything. I'll give you anything you want.
You can also join the Now Playing Patron campaign. Patrons of $10 or more get a new exclusive movie review every month, plus even more perks, including one where you can pick a movie for our hosts to review. Find the details on our website.
Come find us.
Now Playing Podcast is produced by Arnie Carvalho.
You also know that your eyes are bloodshot and your heart rate's through the roof.
Associate produced by Jason Latham.
Mister, I can't work nights.
Now Playing is edited by Arnie.
How's the pay?
Not great. But the hours are worse.
Now Playing credits read by Brock.
Can any of you hear me?
Venganza Media Incorporated is not affiliated with the motion pictures reviewed or otherwise referred to herein. All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review and no infringement is intended.
You may have forgotten your loyalties, but I assure you, they have not.
The opinions expressed on Now Playing are those of the individual hosts and may not reflect the opinion of Venganza Media Incorporated.
I don't really see how that's any of your business.
I'm telling you, you need to let it go.
Now Playing Podcast is an exclusive trademark of Venganza Media Incorporated. Now Playing is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2025. All rights reserved, and no part of this show may be reproduced, repurposed, or redistributed without the express written permission of Venganza Media Incorporated.
It's okay, Mike. They just want to play.
This is the first time I've seen her in a decade, and the last time she was playing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hey, we watched Expendables 4 2 years ago.
Oh, God, that's right. Oof. Yeah, I'm not sure which is more humiliating. I'd rather be the voice of the chicken, actually, than have a love scene with Sylvester Stallone.
I think she was making love to Jason Statham.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
But I don't know if that's better.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I go that far, but I'd watch this before any of the Uva Bowl stuff that we've been in with this arcade.
I agree. Yes, I think this is better than Uva Bowl, but worse than Minions. I like all the Despicable Me films so much more than this. There's cleverness to them. All of them.
You're shocking me that you would even watch them. Wow. Were you babysitting a kid?
No.
Okay. My point was that this is something that made for an audience that I'm not, and I enjoy it more than all of that animated stuff that makes a ton of money. God, the Super Mario Brothers thing that's coming back.